Both Walmart and Meta have announced some pretty serious layoffs recently. And one of these comes as a big surprise, and which is Walmart, because Walmart is one of those retailers like Costco that is supposedly doing very well right now. And for them to announce layoffs when the company is doing well, it's kind of coming out of left field. Meta, on the other hand, we know that they have been cutting people for a while now, performing different rounds of mass layoffs. And this is, of course, just the latest one. However, with the amount of people they're letting go, it is significant, guys. All of these layoffs are having major unintended consequences on the economy. So I want to talk about that. So Walmart reported that they're going to be letting go of hundreds of different people in North Carolina in its effort to bring all their workers back to their main hub in Arkansas and California. And there's also a couple other locations, like in New Jersey, for example, that's being affected by this as well, and they're going to be shutting down those offices too. And of course, this is directly tied to the work from home initiative, which Walmart is also trying to eliminate, because one reason that they're claiming they're doing this for is that we've already seen the benefits of having more teams working together in person, and today we're performing another step that will help accelerate our momentum. So, they're just trying to consolidate everybody into one specific location, and whether they're already working remotely or not. In this case, they're working in a different office, but too bad, got to go somewhere else. But as of right now, we don't even know how many people are going to potentially be losing their jobs, but they will have a chance to potentially relocate, which is something that Walmart is famous for doing. Even when they close down a store, they say, well, technically all these people aren't losing their jobs. They can just relocate to the nearest store if they want to keep their job. But that's always easier said than done for people, especially when you're talking about moving from North Carolina all the way over to California or Arkansas. That's not exactly a small little jump. But they said they'll either provide relocation support or severance for whichever decision people decide to make. And this is just the series of many, because previously last year, they asked people who live in Texas and Atlanta and in Toronto, and any employee who's still working remotely at the time was also called back into the office. So they have been being pretty aggressive about calling people back into the office if you're working remote. Even if you're not working remote, we want to change your location to a more centralized spot where we can keep an eye on everybody and keep everybody together. Also, Walmart has been one of the most aggressive companies in terms of implementing automation and AI into their business model. As of right now, they're hoping that 65% of their stores are going to be automated by 2026. That's next year, guys. I don't know what they mean by automated. I'm sure that doesn't mean all the employees will magically be gone, but that sounds pretty scary. And just a year from now, having more than half of the Walmarts out there being completely automated. And of course, they try to defend this decision and say, as these changes are implemented, one of the outcomes is that the roles that require less physical labor are going to have higher pay. So, okay, that does sound good. But, if you had 1,000 people working there before and now there's only 500, that's not so good. But supposedly Walmart says that they anticipate that they're going to be able to maintain or even increase the amount of people working for them as this automation occurs. To me, I'll believe it when I see it, guys, because so far all we have seen when it comes to AI and automation is people losing jobs, not gaining jobs. But we'll see. It's too early to tell. I can't sit here and tell you I know everything about this because I don't. But these layoffs are having some unintended consequences throughout the economy. Just this week, Meta announced that they were going to be laying off 5% of its workforce, and they have about 74,000 people that work for them. So let's see how much that is. That's about 3,700 people that just lost their job from Meta this week, okay? And supposedly, it's going to be just the low performers. That's what they said last time we talked about this, that they were just going to be doing performance evaluations and eliminating the people who aren't carrying their own weight. Okay, fair enough, right? But actually, it's turning out to be more than that, because a lot of Meta employees who were recently laid off have been saying on social media that despite receiving high ratings on performance reviews, that they received the notice that they're being let go anyways, and also other people who are on parental leave are also receiving this notice. They talked to one guy who was a product manager at Meta. He said that he was performing at or above expectations during a mid-year performance review. I got zero signal that I was underperforming or at risk of being put on a performance improvement plan and he's somebody who just lost his job. Apparently, Mark Zuckerberg lied. Big surprise there. And you know what, guys? It's his company. He can do whatever he wants, right? It's a free country. You know, lay off as many people as you want. But you don't have to lie to people. You don't have to say, oh, you know, we're going to do this and that and the other thing. If you don't really stack up, then you'll be let go. You know, you don't have to say that if it's not true. Just be honest and say that we're trying to increase our profit margins and we're just going to have to let people go. Of course, we're going to start with the lowest performers, but other people might lose their jobs too. And of course, we're on the verge of the same thing happening with the federal government, with the DOGE department. They're looking at slashing tons of jobs. Like I made a video about this a couple of weeks ago, that 2 million federal workers got a notice that they can either come back and work in the office or they can take their full pay until September of this year and be let go. Whether or not that's going to be followed through with, I don't know yet. But what you can see, the main theme here is a lot of people are losing jobs. These are mass layoffs and they are having significant implications on the economy. These people earn a lot of money, which means they spend a lot of money. And it also means all of these people who are losing their jobs are going to need a new source of income pretty soon. And some employees are getting smart and they're looking at how well a company is doing financially right now before even accepting a job offer with them. Because it would be stupid, first of all, for a company to even be hiring if they're not doing so great financially. But it would be even dumber to accept a job offer for the company that's hiring you that's not doing well financially, because your days are probably already numbered from the get-go. And so the bigger overall implication on how this is affecting people and their psychology and how everybody views work, we're seeing this huge erosion of job security, which has been happening for many years, but really it's becoming very prevalent today. You have all these major companies who are announcing these widespread layoffs, and at the same time, they have growing profit margins or increased stock prices. That really decreases the amount of trust that people have when it comes to working for these companies. Just in the tech sector alone, there's been over 9,000 job losses just in the month of January of 2025, guys. So not off to a great start. That also doesn't include any of the other job losses or layoffs throughout all the other sectors or businesses throughout the country. But what new data is starting to reveal is that these layoffs are decreasing the trust between employees and companies, and it's also leading to lower engagement from the remaining employees. And there's higher voluntary turnover rate for the remaining employees as well, along with less innovation. So basically, layoffs are bad for the business in terms of growth and moving forward. Might be good for their bottom line initially, maybe not so good for future development. Ultimately, guys, this is why I believe everybody should work for themselves. Truly, everybody could start a business out there if they wanted to. As long as you provide a service or make something that people look for or need, then you are going to have a business. So you don't actually have to rely on any of these companies to have an income. But a lot of people do it because it is the easier and traditionally safer way of going about having a full-time, predictable income. They talked to one woman who actually landed her dream job at one of the big tech companies, and she didn't feel as happy as she thought that she would, especially since she has already been laid off twice in the past year. Because even though she has this nice new job, of course, the one thing she's thinking about in the back of her mind is, how long is this going to last for? So you see, it kind of breaks down morale of the employees and doesn't give them a whole lot of faith that they are necessary or needed. You know, it gives people the feeling of being disposable, which ultimately doesn't create great results for the company. They talked to another guy who's been an engineer for 15 years now, and he says that companies appear to be giving out more negative performance reviews, and they're introducing stronger policies against remote work, which is just another way of cutting jobs, which is something that I've talked about here for a while on the channel. You know, let's call everybody back into the office. This is a great way to guarantee we're going to have a lot of people quit. Also, these mass layoffs have an impact on the remaining employees who are frustrated about taking on the responsibilities of their coworkers that are no longer there. You know, but their duties remain. And ultimately, this is just leading to a situation where people don't entrust their employer anymore. People don't feel valued or respected. I think a lot of it shows in this whole no one wants to work anymore feeling that a lot of us are getting, because why would you want to work? Why would you want to work for these companies that treat you like garbage and act like you don't mean anything. Nobody wants to feel like that. Everybody wants to feel valued and respected and feel like they have a purpose in what they do. So I think part of the problem of people not wanting to work isn't just the financial aspect of things, how hard it is to get ahead financially in today's world, but there's also the aspect of working for these companies is just flat out miserable most of the time, and you never know when it might be your day to get your pink slip. Another company that's had a lot of trouble in the past couple of years has been McDonald's. We've talked about their fair share of troubles here on the channel. Their troubles are not over, guys, because they just continue to have problem after problem at McDonald's, because they just announced their earnings and they said that their same-store sales declined 1.4% in the 3 months ending December 31st of 2024. And this is driven by customers spending less money per visit. Obviously, the higher price of this garbage fast food is probably a factor as well. But funny enough, even with this announcement, they also announced that they're going to be opening 2,200 more stores globally just this year in 2025, which is pretty massive. So McDonald's share price naturally went up 4.8% after this announcement. But McDonald's is saying that their customers remain pressured, particularly low-income customers and families, and this is reflecting a broader slump in the fast food industry. But yet, there are companies that are doing well right now, like Chipotle, Taco Bell, and Chili's. All these places are doing pretty good. So it's not everybody suffering. And of course, McDonald's reaction to this has been to bring back more affordable options. You know, they brought back the $5 meal deal last summer, which they have decided to extend indefinitely. It was supposed to just be a 1-month promotional sort of thing. They also had a big E. coli outbreak a few months back, which was a huge problem for them and decreased their sales even further. Here's something shocking about this. According to a survey from LendingTree about a year ago, they revealed that 78% of consumers view fast food as a luxury, which I think is kind of insane. Guys, I can understand, viewing going out for a nice meal a luxury, but going to McDonald's or fast food in general as a luxury is definitely not a luxury. In fact, you're doing yourself a favor by not going, both your health and your wallet. But also they found out in the survey that 62% of Americans said they eat less fast food now due to high prices, and 56% said they choose to make food at home when they want an easy and cheap meal. So this is actually a great thing, because these higher fast food prices are eventually pressuring people that can't afford this anymore into being healthier and eating more food at home and learning how to cook. Overall, that's a good thing for our country. And according to McDonald's CEO, he says that the amount of low-income consumers visiting the stores right now is still down double digits year over year. So this is a trend that they're likely not able to recover from, and they're going to continue suffering financially. But they're saying the $5 meal deal is starting to work, because people who are coming in and getting the $5 meal deal are spending about $10 on average. So maybe they're just getting 2 $5 meal deals. But here's what I want everybody to think about with this. McDonald's prices have gone up substantially over the past couple of years. Some of their items have even gone up like 200% over the past 2 years, okay? The average person who's going to McDonald's would be spending more money just by ordering the same things that they did before. No brainer, right? But what's actually happening is McDonald's sales are slowing down, and the average person that goes to McDonald's is actually spending less than they did before, according to McDonald's themselves. To me, what this actually means is not that the average person is going into McDonald's spending less. It means that they are losing a lot of customers. They don't have as many people coming into their stores as before. And their same-store sales reflect this. And this is actually pretty significant news, because just think about how much prices have gone up at McDonald's, for example, and their sales are going down. So they must be losing a lot of customers, because it's easy for all these companies to say, oh, look, sales remain the same, or sales are going up 1 or 2% year over year, especially with how high inflation is, because they could have the same number of customers and the same level of sales as they did a year ago and still report an increase due to inflation, because the actual number is higher. But what's actually happening is the reverse. Their prices are higher, and also their sales are going down, which means things are actually even worse for McDonald's than it actually appears on paper. Your same-store sales go down 1.2% in the previous quarter is huge, not only at scale for a company like McDonald's with how many stores they have, it's huge in the sense that that's a decrease in sales combined with the higher prices, guys. Not only are they charging everybody more who does come in, but they're still seeing their sales volume lower. So this is a bad omen for the economy in terms of where spending is going. But actually, I think it's good news. A lot of people look at this as bad news and they say, oh, Michael, you're only telling us bad news 24/7. But this is actually good news. It's good news that people are not buying this anymore, and they're not putting this junk in their body anymore, and they're just wisening up, you know, and the high inflation and the higher cost of everything is actually forcing people to make better decisions right now, whether they want to or not. And it's not just companies that are having a hard time right now. Apparently big landlords are too. One of my viewers sent me this story about how 800 Chicago properties are up for auction now, as basically this landlord ran these properties into the ground. Imagine losing 800 properties. That's a tremendous loss for anybody. Apparently this big landlord in Chicago is losing all 800 properties due to an investigation on how they just let all these properties sink into nothing. They say that all these properties are severely neglected and the condition of them is extremely poor. Just think about this. The rat situation at these properties was so bad that they accumulated $15 million in fines just due to rat-related code violations, guys. That's just based on one problem that these places have. They also had fines up the wazoo for dumping a bunch of decomposing tires on their properties, and then they attempted to file for bankruptcy in order to get out of unpaid tickets and legal judgments. And basically they've been dubbed Chicago's worst landlord ever at this point. And because they filed for bankruptcy, now they are required to auction off all 812 lots that they own, which is making it one of the city's largest land sales in recent years. And you know, as bad as these properties were, as bad as the conditions were, imagine how many properties are going to be removed and how many housing units are going to be removed because of this. Because obviously all these places are going to be condemned and going to be unlivable. And whoever buys them and is going to invest in these properties are going to, of course, tear it down, build something new, or, you know, heavily renovate. And the rent prices for all these places are going to go up substantially. So at the one hand, it's good that, you know, you revitalize the neighborhood and you make it nicer, but that nicer also means gentrified and more expensive. So if you've been laid off recently, let us know how you are handling this right now. Let us know how this is affecting your finances, your state of mind, your feeling on work in the future. Let us all know. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you don't want to wait for our next video to come out, check out this one on the screen right over here, and I'll see you in the next one.